Okay.
This music is intense.
I'm meteorologist Mike Prangley and joined by meteorologist Robert Speta in Jacksonville, Florida. So we are from coast to coast here in Florida, having you covered here as tropics really start to heat up. How are you doing, Robert? Good to be with you as always.
Oh, I am fantastic today, Mr. Prangley. Always happy to be with you here. We miss you over here in Jacksonville. Happy you're holding down the fort over in Tampa. And boy, we got, of course, newly named Chantal right at 8 a.m. Did it develop while you were on air? Like, was it named while you were on air here on Saturday morning?
Yes, I was in front of the wall, and then right as I wrapped up the weather, actually, we went to commercial. So we came right back and said, "Hey, we got the newest, latest data. The Tropical Depression 3 is now Tropical Storm Chantal." It always seems to work that way, right, Robert? I mean, it's crazy.
Well, for me, it was on air, and it was funny because the National Hurricane Center must have just been like, they're like, "I'll show you," because it said Tropical Depression 3, and I said, you know, this is going to be named soon. It hasn't been named yet, and then as on air, our graphics, state of the art, the updated right once that warning came out. So I looked back at the screen and went, hold on a second. Like, I thought I was losing my mind a little bit. But yeah, now newly named, heading out towards the Carolinas, at least moving away from the Florida Peninsula, right? Yeah,
and I'm looking at this now. That's the key. It's moving away from Florida, but we're still going to feel its tropical influence. So the latest from the National Hurricane Center, we've got 40-mile-per-hour winds, the pressure at 1,007 millibars. That'll lower a bit. It's now over the open ocean, feeding off that energy in the water now. Some warm tropical temperatures there, so it still could come up a little bit, winds close to 50 miles per hour. Not expecting a hurricane, but notice all of the watches and warnings, big impacts along the coast. We've got the surge, we've got the rip currents, and some flash flooding, especially to the right of the system as we head up toward the lovely Grand Strand of Myrtle Beach, North Myrtle Beach, and watching Wilmington as well, Robert.
Yeah, you know, and this is, I think, a classic dirty side of the storm type deal where we have a little bit of shear acting on this, which hopefully is going to keep it from, you know, intensifying more than 45, 50 mile per hour sustained winds. But the right side of the storm, especially for our friends in the Myrtle Beach area and along the Carolina coastline, plenty of heavy rainfall. I mean, those conditions right near the coast, 40, 45 mile per hour winds. But I think they're going to really just see some good lines of precip come on shore that could add up to about 4 to 6 inches. I really feel for anybody that is going to Myrtle Beach for 4th of July weekend. Maybe they're traveling from the Midwest. They're out there getting up to the beach, and then you got a tropical storm coming in. Not destructive, but definitely a just messing up your weekend forecast for those areas.
Yeah, good points there, and you know, it's becoming better developed, and we're talking about a system that really is a reminder that tropical season is alive and well. And as we take a look at this system, yeah, we've got the watches and warnings. There you go. We're talking tropical storm watches, and that does include much of the low country of South Carolina. Then you've got the warnings a little farther north. You were talking about that dirty right side, and we take a look at that, and you go up into Horry County. Boy, the big PD looking for some big troubles there in Wilmington. And unfortunately, these areas, especially Charleston, very vulnerable to any type of surge. And look at the latest surge estimates. I still see maybe 2-3 feet, and that is a big deal for these areas, especially as we head toward the full moon. The good news is it's going to be a short-lived system as it makes that move up to the north. So you see Tropical Storm Chantal will make landfall, it looks like, by late tonight into tomorrow morning. And we can see some of those bands up to the north really starting to wrap in the farther north you go, even Savannah getting in on some of those bands of rain. But what we're talking about here at home, let's come back to Jacksonville and Duval. Robert, if you want to take it away, you're starting to see a few showers with that wraparound. I know you're on the weaker side, but you're starting to see a few showers there.
So you may have seen my eyebrow go like this just for a moment ago. It's because I did hear a rumble of thunder overhead. It was the first one I've heard of the day. Here while we were live. We're seeing a couple of these just these showers kicking on by, and it's hard pressed to call them rain bands, but they are. But it's really just going to be these waves of precipitation over Jacksonville throughout the day, on and off areas of rainfall that are kicking on by. Not terribly heavy, but definitely enough to create, a nuisance. Especially we got Jumbo Shrimp, our local baseball team here in Jacksonville.
Yes.
They're playing at 6:30. Could be looking at some passing rainfall. A lot of people heading out to the beach. Boaters want to get out, just like in Tampa. We got our intercoastal. People want to be running up the St. Johns River. The northerly wind, a nice fetch area over the St. Johns. I think it's going to be making for some bumpy rides. But I think one of the bigger issues here is due to Chantal being basically 150 miles due east of us, and you have those winds coming in from the northeast. We have a high risk of rip currents today.
Yes.
We have a littoral current, that perpendicular wind going on it, and then we have a busy 4th of July weekend, which yesterday was a record-breaking beach day at Jacksonville Beach. There was just loads of people up and down the coast. So my worry is people that are not good swimmers or even strong swimmers, that many people heading into the water with rough surf and rip currents. I think that's going to be one of our big issues here in Jacksonville associated with the storm. So it's not, we're not getting a tropical storm here, but we are getting those side effects here, Mike.
Yeah, you can really see that circulation, that strong circulation there with the latest radar. And we'll get to more on those rip currents. So what I was going to do is run through our radar here in Tampa, give a synopsis of our weather forecast, go back to you with the Jacksonville forecast, and then we'll really hit those rip currents hard and why we really need to pay attention to those as what I call them deadly rip currents in these type of scenarios. We take a look at Crystal River, Tampa to St. Pete, Pinellas, Pasco. This is what we've been waiting for. We finally got more than an hour or two of break in the rain, and it should be a gorgeous time for it. If you're going to the beach, I mean, so many folks are here in Tampa having a lot of fun in the sun right now. But notice we do have a few thunderstorms breaking out toward areas of Hardee and Highlands County this morning. But I think really the main rain time for us would be this afternoon. So we still do have that weather impact alert because we are under that tropical influence of course, our tropical storm Chantal. And notice the rainfall estimates. This is just for the last 48 hours. The ground is saturated, especially in Pinellas and Pasco County. This is 6 to almost 9 inches of rain from areas of Clearwater Beach, Dunedin, up and toward areas of East Lake, just amazing amounts. So this is what we would typically get in a tropical system. But the good news in this case is, yes, the tropical system's moving away, and I do see slowly improving conditions. But we have to keep in mind, any rain we receive this afternoon, especially if you get in one of those intense bands, could cause, yes, some flooding. We're talking more in the flood advisory zone, okay? So 3 o'clock to 8 o'clock, be extra careful. And we're not talking 5 straight hours of rain. We could see that quick 1 to 2 inches of rain or more in about an hour's time. So we're streaming here on 10 Tampa Bay Plus and, of course, on First Coast News Plus. We take a look at today's hour by hour, and you notice we do have the sunshine to start. And the latest model data is verifying what I was thinking. We've got more lift and instability, heating to work with this afternoon, and we'll see that wind come around to the southwest. So we will have a bit of a sea breeze collision working with that deep tropical moisture. And as you look at the latest futurecast, things really light up as we head into this afternoon. So be extra careful. Unfortunately, yesterday we had three people hit by lightning on St. Pete Beach, and I think unfortunately a young girl still in the hospital here at TGH. So another reminder, Robert was talking about the risk, the rip current risk there, but it's the rip currents and really the lightning. We really have to be extra careful, and when the thunder roars, you head indoors. So notice those temperatures. The one change that we're going to see tonight here in Tampa is those thunderstorms will start to move inland with that southwesterly flow, really wrapping toward the center of our tropical storm heading to the Carolinas. So a little bit of a change where things will settle down. It will be a much quieter evening. A couple models try to wrap some of those showers back, but this time around, I think they'll fall apart. So more of a traditional thunderstorm pattern. And then as we take a look at Sunday, total opposite. We're going to see some early morning showers, and then they'll start to move inland. But yeah, it's going to be nice to see at least more dry hours, and we can get on with our beautiful weekend. Now, as you go back to Jacksonville, we'll get back to Robert here. We are watching, of course, Tropical Storm Chantal, and you were talking about that extensive flow around our tropical storm. Even though it's heading away, still some big impacts for Jacksonville, Duval, St. John's, Clay, and Putnam, right?
Yeah, and more so for areas just north of Jacksonville. So we're getting a little bit out of the Florida Peninsula, but I really do think for like Brunswick, extending down towards Jekyll Island. Jekyll Island, a big vacation spot. A lot of people want to be heading out there. But yeah, once you do get towards that high tide there, there's the Boneyard Beach. Mike, I'm sure you know all about that.
Yes.
They're off Jekyll Island. It's all a lot of fossilized trees.
Beautiful.
A lot of people probably want to go there this weekend, but it is absolutely, it's one of my favorite spots on the First Coast. Picturesque. But you get that high tide, you're going to get that wind blowing on shore, and that water is just going to get pushed right up to the dunes in some of those areas. So that's a little bit just north of Jacksonville. If we're talking about, that rising water pushing up against the dunes there, maybe even a little bit of a beach erosion. But yeah, it is further towards the south where we have that rip current risk as well, and including a lot of those very busy beaches closer to Jacksonville. If we head out to Clay, Putnam County, still got these passing showers. I mean, you can see right there with our futurecast, kind of that rain moving in from the north towards the south on some of those bands wrapping around from the north out of this. Good news, we're not getting those southeasterly feeder bands into this that we have 200 miles offshore, because I think this would be a completely different situation if we had that rain coming in from the south and east with that bands coming in off of the Gulf as well. We'd be talking about much heavier showers. But for Jacksonville today, it really is just the passing rain, the nuisance rain here, Mike, where you're barbecuing, you're trying to have a bonfire, you're trying to hang out with your family, and then a shot of rain for 10 minutes, and then it goes away.
Yeah.
And then you get back out into the humid conditions.
Right, and folks wanting to head out to beautiful Ponte Vedra Beach or St. Augustine and walk around the historic city and the old ancient city there, it looks like things will improve as the day goes on. So it looks like your best chance of rain along the I-95 corridor coming earlier, and then just a beautiful rest of the afternoon, whereas here in Tampa, west side, okay, not the best side for the rain when it comes to late this afternoon and this evening. It's interesting how things work. We're usually flip-flopped when it comes to comparing our weather to yours. So there's the rain. Robert was doing a good job detailing back toward Highway 301, I-75 corridor, Lake City, Columbia County, Baker Union, Bradford, and things really calmed down. And really notice how the rain centered more toward the west coast as we head into late afternoon and this evening. And then for Jacksonville tomorrow.
Yeah, and we have that weather impact alert here.
Okay.
From 12 to 8 p.m. Basically, as that northeasterly breeze sets up, it's going to kick up those showers. But hopefully by this evening, as the storm pulls away towards the north and those northerly winds continue to set in, it's going to start to usher things a little bit further towards the south. Right,
and you've got that weather impact alert for good reason, Robert. I see a lot of red, and you nailed it there. There's that flow out of the northeast picking up this afternoon. So a good idea, because we've got so many people enjoying the First Coast and up toward areas of Brunswick, Jekyll Island, St. Simon's Island on the pier, but you've got to be very careful in the water. So there's our risk levels. We go low, moderate, high, and you're at the top end there, right there. So, and let's take a look at those deadly rip currents. The one thing I want everybody to realize here, when we say high rip currents, Robert, all swimmers are impacted. You could be an Olympic swimmer, but with that northeast wind now moving into areas of coastal areas of Nassau, Duval, St. John's this afternoon, up into southeast Georgia, notice we're at the top there for the most dangerous type of water, and that is the rip currents, the deadly rip currents. So make sure you heed the advice of the local beach patrol. Stay near the lifeguards. Always go in the water with a friend, for sure, right?
Yeah, and I mean, just swim near lifeguards. I can't stress that enough. But I think on a day like today, probably just don't swim. And I think one of the worries here on the First Coast is that there is, since these showers are so passing, if we had a full-on tropical storm here, like in the Carolinas, if you're in Myrtle Beach and there's these rain bands coming on shore, a lot of people aren't, because it's very obvious not to go into the ocean. It's storming outside. But here we have this passing rainfall, so there's these periods where you got the sunshine mixed in there, and if you go to the water, you're thinking, it's beautiful out. I'm going in. Nothing's going to stop me. Why should I be worried. And then you get these northerly breezes. And the other thing, you had there with your futurecast showing the winds come from the north.
Right.
And something we don't really think about too much is also that strong littoral current. So like if you get ripped out, then you're getting ripped along the coastline.
You could end up 100 yards from you.
It's not a good day to be in the water.
Yeah, that littoral.
Yes.
You could actually go in the water and you say, "What happened to my family?" And you're 100 yards down the beach because that water literally blows you down the beach. So yeah, we've got all kinds of bad currents in that ocean today in the Atlantic. So we need to be careful. Here in Tampa, of course, a low rip current risk, Robert. But unfortunately, what's been interesting for me here on the west side, we actually have big issues even with a low rip current risk. We have several rescues and also a possible rip current fatality over the weekend. I think it was 2 days ago. I think it was Thursday, where we had a person that had a problem with the rip current. So just keep in mind, low, medium, high. Always keep your guard up for the rip currents. And Robert, I put in a graphic here from the National Weather Service trying to explain what to look for. And so notice we highlighted the green area there, that channel of fast-moving water that unfortunately can be deadly at times. So as you look, I made sure it's between the breaks in the water there. You're seeing that current. And what happens is a lot of times that northeast wind picks up in the Jacksonville beach area, and you'll see what comes in must go out. And unfortunately, that can be quite a current. It's like a river flowing out to sea there.
And one thing that you kind of can see with that graphic, so this is the top down, but let's say you're standing on the beach, and what's always, it's misleading, is that if you're standing on the beach, you see all the white caps there, right? That's not the rip current. It's from your perspective on the beach, it's the calm, flat spot. So I've seen, just kids playing in that before, and I'm like, that's a rip current.
That's a bad place to be. They think that's like safe.
It's the water flowing out.
Yeah, they think that's like a safe spot, and it's not.
safe.
So it's where you see the break and all the action, which is the total opposite. That's a great point. So don't let the calmness fool you when you see a break in that water. But just keep in mind, usually the water, this is highlighted green, but it doesn't look like that per se. But usually it's more of a discolored type channel of water as well. So you got to be careful. That's another
life
reason.
Would be a lot easier if it was highlighted green.
Yeah.
Like in the real world.
The lifeguard can really get a good look at it, and that's another reason to go ask the lifeguard if you have any questions. And if you get caught in one of these, Robert, we know what to do to break the grip of the rip, right? It's a channel, what, 30? It's not too big. It's a small channel, right?
Yeah, and you want to get out of it. The guidance used to be just swim immediately to the side. Lately, it's been some of the guidance, because that's tiring people out, is just kind of let it take you until you're kind of out of the rip, and then you can swim off to the side. It's one of those things where it's tough in the moment. I'm sure you start to panic. I think one of the big things is don't panic. Just tread that water, get out of the rip, and then you can swim back. But in the moment, maybe people I've gotten caught in a rip current before, and my first initial reaction was just start going at it. You
do. It's a human,
trying to swim against it.
It's a human nature type of thing, Robert. That's for sure. So you want to fight it. Yeah. So to break the grip of the rip, just let go, just breathe. Stay calm, and then let it take you, and then swim to the side. Exactly. And these are not huge channels of water, so you want to swim. And also, on days where there's low rip currents, I know you've seen this, we've had problems with rip currents. We said don't let the scale fool you. If you're near piers or jetties, you still have to be on guard for those rip currents.
Yeah. I wouldn't swim near a pier anyways, especially... And Tampa, you got your fishing piers. We got our fishing pier here. There's a lot of wildlife around those piers, and it's just, I try not to swim near piers. It's just too much going on, too much action happening around them that I don't want to be in the water.
Okay, Robert, if you remember anything from the show, here's the point we got to get across to folks, okay? All right, we know Chantal's heading away, but for rip currents claim more lives in Florida than hurricanes, floods, tornadoes, and lightning combined. So that's a reason we're really making a big deal of these. So just think about that. If you look at the statistics over the years, I know we're getting a little better with the lightning fatalities, hurricanes, floods, but rip currents lead the list across the country. So just keep that in mind. When we're talking rip current safety and you see a high rip current risk, that's a big deal. In fact, the National Hurricane Center is now putting out special statements just because of this on rip currents, right?
I mean, yeah, that's one of the new things they've really been stressing is that, because it's one of those, like, when you say damaging winds are headed towards you, people do raise their eyes. And time again, people, like, we know what a hurricane does and the heavy rainfall, the damaging winds, but the rip currents always just seem to take a back seat, even from the public perspective, which, as you just fantastically pointed out there, this is one of the deadliest aspects in the state of Florida, weather-related fatalities. And I mean, time and time again, we see reports of drownings much more often than lightning strikes because of rip currents. So I know it sounds like something that's a distance, but I do hope that people, if you're watching this right now, maybe you got some friends or family, you're going to be heading out to the coast, you do heed that advice and you're smart about it and trying to stay out of the water here this weekend, especially with a tropical storm offshore.
Great advice. Yeah, and some of those showers heading into areas that we're real concerned about rip currents today, Jekyll Island to St. Simons. We'll keep an eye on that. There's Amelia Island, beautiful Amelia, always amazing there. But again, some dangerous water. And I think the best advice, what I would tell my family, I even texted, I said, please stay out of the water. So you want to stay out of the water on days like today, especially when you know we've got all these currents. It's just not the rip currents. Like you said, it's that longshore current that we're working with, well, the littoral current there. So as we come back and take a look here on this side of the state, yes, we're talking about beautiful sunshine out there. And there's the St. Pete Pier. Yesterday, folks were doing a 5K run, Robert, and they were trudging through water. I mean, it was up to almost, some folks had water almost up to their knees. It was raining so hard. So it's good to see as we do our latest time lapse here that we've got some calmer weather. But if you look at the last few frames, we're getting toward 10, 11 o'clock, you see what I see. We've got some buoyancy. Okay, we got some rising thermals, and we're going to get ready for another round of rain here on the west side. We take a look at the futurecast, and again, you can see that train. I've called it a tropical tail of moisture that's going to still keep that deep moisture over us here in Tampa. So while Jacksonville's going to get that 10-minute shower, and your main risk is the rip currents here in Tampa, we have saturated ground. It's like that sponge, and that water has nowhere to go. So our weather impact alert really kicking in once again between 2 p.m. and 8 p.m. And you can see that flow in the deeper tropical moisture really for southwest Florida up into Tampa and Hillsborough County. And then as we continue to watch Chantal move toward that Grand Strand landfall by the wee hours of tomorrow morning, Sunday at 3:30 a.m., we will start to see it take more of the moisture away. So that's some good news for us. We don't need any more rain, that's for sure. And then as we keep this going, looks like Jacksonville's in good shape for Sunday, although instead of a splash and dasher like Robert was saying, it's coming early in the day, we'd probably have a late day shower storm there for Jacksonville up into southeast Georgia. But overall, the pattern favoring some improvements. And the other thing, we're talking about that wind flow bringing in the rip currents. Hey, the winds will switch back to the south and southwest for Jacksonville, which is good news. That'll cut off the rip current risk, at least keep you out of the high range and give you some improvements there as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. And expecting that southwesterly flow switching up on Sunday. Sunday's probably going to be a lot better beach day in our neck of the woods. What are we looking out here in the broader picture?
Okay.
We're looking at the East Pack now.
This is what you and I
Flossie just wrapped up out there.
Yeah, Robert, we have a lot in common. We love our climatology. We love the long-range forecast, and so I don't think anybody gets more into it than we do. And I know you're into the typhoons out of the Pacific. I have family in Europe, so I'm constantly checking all the European data and the European maps. I love doing that. And as we take a look at the forecast, once we get through Chantal, let's back it up here. So there's Chantal go up in the Carolinas, and then you see the latest would be a much calmer period in the tropics, and that does include I think even the Pacific Ocean will start to back away as we start to see some descending air. We're going to start to see the opposite set up in the atmosphere. We've got sinking air over both the Atlantic and at least the Eastern Pacific Basin where we can get a break in this action. What are you seeing?
Yeah, I mean, in the Eastern Pacific, for the super weather gurus out there, if you're curious globally, there is a named storm in the West Pac right now named the Danas.
Yes.
You got friends in Taiwan or the northwestern Philippines, they're being impacted by it. But that's going to be a big rainmaker for those areas. It is a tropical storm right now, not quite a typhoon. But I guess and I point that out, even if you just only care about what's happening here locally, it's a clear clear indicator when we've had, what, 6 named storms in East Pac. We've had multiple in the West Pac. We are just starting off in the Atlantic, but it is July now. The tropics are heating up all over the northern hemisphere, so that's why we always are continuing to look at that extended outlook, as you show right here, that general July tracks where we are less focused. I mean, we are still focused on the deep Caribbean and the Gulf, but we're starting to maybe monitor the Eastern Caribbean, that main formation area, and yeah, the East Coast. And it's actually it's interesting because this is straight up climatology you're showing us here, Mike.
Right.
But that line is about right exactly the track of our current storm, isn't it?
It is. So, we've got these very warm water temperatures down here, so nature's all revved up. We're just starting July, and we're in a mid-late July, almost early August pattern. That's what I don't like to see. So we watch these July tracks, but I think the big thing we're going to be tracking for much of July is this. Our best friend, I call him Sal. He's an old friend of mine. The Saharan dust layer that we track all the way from Lake Chad in Africa. That's the dustiest place on Earth. That's the part of the Saharan desert. And it's not uncommon where we get these big plumes of dust that can travel 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 or more miles. And you can see what we're going to see is our beautiful sunrises and sunsets, and your meteorologist telling you, yes, we're not expecting tropical development for the next 7 days. That's my game plan as we head through the rest of July. And that is why I was looking at some climatology, long-range models. When will things really get started? Well, Dr. Gray at Colorado State used to ring that bell every August 20th, and he rang that bell loud because that's to Dr. Gray, who did all those hurricane outlooks, really one of our founding fathers of the hurricane outlook season. He knew that's when hurricane season really got started in the Atlantic basin. That's when we really get into the thick of things, starting August 20th. So just keep that in mind. It could be a very quiet July like I think we saw last year, but things do change.
Yeah, and actually I got the opportunity to talk to Dr. Klodspach. He kind of took over from Dr. Gray out there at Colorado State University about this upcoming hurricane season last month. And, we were talking about the fact that not quite as active as last year. It was really running hot last year, but still above average. So, we're not going to be taking a nap here anytime soon.
No, we're
going to
not.
continue to track this.
And we
of
do
course, our current storm out there right now.
That's right. So, Robert, it's always great being with you. We're going to do more of these from Tampa to Jacksonville. I think it gives great perspective to everybody here from coast to coast and keeping people safe throughout the hurricane season. So this is a good tune-up and a warm-up for both of us to, get word out. Know your zone, know your home, know your risks, and know your insurance policy. And there's still time. If you're going to know that insurance policy and you need to make adjustments, do it right now, because you can't do that once that hurricane is bearing down on you.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Mike, for bringing me on here and let's have a discussion. Thanks for everybody watching here on our streaming platforms.
Right. And of course, we'll be back.